Thing I did, if you were watching, was uh, colored glazes over much of the painting, which then, remember, darks first, lights last. One of the outworkings of that principle is then anytime that you apply dark paint, and it's dark because it's transparent. Does that make sense? Dark doesn't mean brown or black or gray. It's dark because it's transparent, and it's so even though it was yellow and pink and orange, that was considered dark. I hope that makes sense to you, because it made the painting darker than it was. So don't, when I say darks first, lights last, you don't think of like dark colors, navy, blue, brown, blah blah blah. No. Anyway, okay, so I did. So anytime you do dark, that means that's just the setup for the next phase, the next stage, which is light. So now I'm doing just a few final white highlights before I pack up, go back to the house, and work on in oil. Okay? Again, the challenge here this morning is to try, well, now that the wind's coming up, the challenge is to hold my easel down. The challenge is to try to produce a good painting from a subject matter that is less than ideal, shall we say. Rather, lackluster is the word I've been using. So produce a got-luster painting from a lackluster subject matter. And so the way to do that, of course, is to focus on the abstract principles of design, elements and principles of design. Line, shape, color, design, value, texture. That's what makes a painting good, not that it's a painting of a pretty object or a pretty scene. So I hope I'm not getting too bogged down here, doing too much little detail. I don't want to do a ton of stuff in this layer. A trailer full of kayaks here. That's what these colorful bands, layers, line, whatever, colorful shapes are. It's a stack of kayaks. I'm assuming most people can figure that out, especially if you're from Ocracoke. You'd definitely figure that out, because there's several kayak rental places along this strip. Yeah, so the sky is going to be blue when I'm done. And it's actually kind of more dirty than I want right now, but I'm not going to go back and undirty it. I'm just going to leave it. It's a kind of a dirty pink, a dirty orange, dirty yellow. And I'm just going to leave it that way for now. And of course, the lighting that I'm looking at now in the scene is very, very little the way it looked an hour and a half or 2 hours ago, of course. So the further you go in a plein air painting, well, when you're plein air painting, here's a quick plein air tip. The light is changing constantly, of course. That's the hardest thing for beginners to get used to. Every 10 minutes, it's a different picture. So you have to decide when you show up to a place. You either have to decide, okay, I like the light that I'm seeing right now, and this is what I'm going to paint. And then you can take a picture of it and either try to remember what it looked like, or take a picture of it. Got it? Or another option is when you first show up at a painting location, you say, the light is okay right now, but I think like in an hour and a half, it's going to be fantastic. Or you might say, no, I think in 3 hours, or I think in 6 hours. And then you begin painting what you think the light might look like at that time. And if you're still out there at that time, of course, then you can get corrected and find out how close you were. But you have to decide with plein air painting early on what light you're going to paint. You can't chase the sun. That's a guaranteed recipe for disaster painting. If you follow the sun keeps moving, and so do the shadows in your painting. And any of you who have painted plein air, that's probably one of the first lessons you learned the hard way while you're painting. You can't, as the sun moves, you can't. Well, it turns out I am lightening this sky. More than I thought I was going to, but there you go. Yeah, I like that better. So the next layer here is going to be oil, and then I proceed with in a way, a whole different set of problems when I move on to the oil stage, the oil phase. But the painting is, I think, taking on a respectable countenance, shape. I don't want people to look at it and say, doggone it, that's an awful, terrible scene. How did he get such a good painting out of it? No, quite the contrary. I want them to look at the painting and say, what a beautiful scene. They won't realize, non-artists will not realize that it's the abstract elements of design that is moving them or impressing them. They'll think it's the picture. Oh, by the way, so I ranted and raved about that for a long time this morning. Let me go back and make something clear. When non-artists look at a good painting, they think they are enjoying the picture, okay? But, that's sorry to be harsh, but woe be to the artist who thinks they're painting pictures. They're not. They're painting paintings. What is actually moving the viewer are all the abstract principles of design of which they are vaguely, if at all, even aware. Does that make sense? So I want the viewers of this painting to go, oh, what a beautiful scene, the non-artists. The artists will look at it and say, wow. I would like them to say, what a masterful use of color, shine, line, shape, design, value, texture, and so forth, okay? I don't know if I didn't make that clear earlier. Non-artists look at paintings because of the picture. It's the artists who have to know better than to paint pictures. Since I'm here doing this, I'm throwing myself a little curve here. I'm painting some opaque stuff, somewhat unusual, although in the last couple of days I've done more than usual. That one of the most distinctive characteristics of this scene and these buildings is the turquoise or aqua outline. Yeah, turquoise. I think it's straight up turquoise outline of this building. That is one of the most distinctive. It's one of the things that slaps your senses as soon as you come around this curve. Very distinctive. So I do want to capture that because that's what the locals will tap into. They'll say, without whether they realize it or not, they'll be going, oh yeah, I recognize that scene. That's that turquoise outline building. I mean, they know the building, but I want them to recognize it. And so I feel like that's a fun little touch of color there. Okay, I think I'm all done now. That is to say, all done with the acrylics. Got it? Hope that's informative and enjoyable. Thanks for watching. I'm going to pack all up. I'm going to go back to the house and pull out my oils and proceed on this painting from there. Thanks for watching.